Nitin, hi. Welcome to this edition of our webinar on understanding ETFs. Thank you for taking time out this evening. So to give you a background, what we try to do at Tavaga here, we get experts like you every week to talk to us about exchange traded funds, passive investments, and how the universe is looking like, and so on. And really, the idea is to make passive investment more popular. In addition, whatever doubts people have, they can actually clarify with you on our live. It's webcast live on our Facebook page, so it's actually free for everybody to just sign up and listen to what we are talking about right now. And that's the whole thought process. So really, up to you, Nitin. I mean, how do you want to start? Maybe a quick background of yours will help before we jump on the presentation that you shared with me, and then we can take it from there in terms of Q&A.
Thanks, Nitin. Thank you so much for this opportunity, for this wonderful opportunity. Just to give my introduction, I'm a chartered accountant as such, with qualification, and I'm there in mutual fund industries now around 15 years. I was heading operations and finance, and then subsequently moved to ETF business head in Kotak Mutual Fund. And last 5 years, I'm there with ICICI now. When I started, we had a AUM of around 200 to 50 crores. Currently, it is around 10,000 crore plus AUM which we have, and around 14 products we have. So getting good response in ETF now. And as a all thanks to people like you who are promoting this low cost product, making awareness of it, more and more investors started participating in these ETFs and index fund category.
So that's great, Nitin. I mean, do you want me to pull the presentation now?
I think let's take the presentation first, so that will be
Yeah.
make some clear understanding for the product.
Yeah. Is the screen visible?
Yes, this is visible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good evening, everyone. We just start with passive investing. Just take it to next slide. What is ETF? ETFs are like any other mutual fund scheme which are listed and traded on exchange. There are various types of ETFs now available in market, and most of you must be aware of Bharat 22, CPS ETF, Gold ETF, Bank ETFs. Lot of ETFs which are available in market now. So ETFs are just like index fund. They track the index. They replicate the index basically. These are open-ended mutual fund. These are very low cost products as compared to actively managed schemes, and these are very transparent products. You exactly know what shares you are holding. And for example, nifty you buy in futures. Now nifty you can buy it in your cash market also through these ETFs, and you can buy as good as low as 1 unit also. Now 1 unit of ETF could be around 100 rupees also. So some gold ETF which are available at 40-45 rupees. Nifty Next 50 is available at less than 50 rupees. So a lot of products you can schemes which you can buy at a very low cost. You can trade in them just like your stocks. You can do intraday trade. You can time the real time price. You can buy it at. You can put buy sell order, and you can take delivery in your Demat account. If you go to next slide, uh, which is globally, this is what has happened. ETFs have become a hotcake in those countries. If you see in the chart itself, currently the ETF is around 5,600 billion as of April 20, and which is growing at a rate of around 20% per annum. If you come to India in next slide, if you see in India, thanks to EPFO, ETF industry is now around almost 1,80,000 crore, which is there. In India, the things are different as compared to global market. Global market, there were investment in ETFs, and subsequently there was a regulator who got into the ETFs. They made a market for it. They made regulations for these ETFs. Whereas in India, things are different. India, if you see, EPFO invested in ETFs. This investment was done in ETF through CPSE and Bharat 22 ETF. Now there are some Bharat bond which is available, because of which the PSU companies can raise funds through these bonds. So if India, if you see, the government and the regulator are promoting for the ETF product, this low cost concept. So that's the whole difference. And now after making this regulation, retail investors have started participating in it. We see a lot of flow which is coming right now is from institution and HNI investors, wealth counters. Retail participation currently low because of the awareness, but with increase in awareness, this will always take it forward. Next slide, if you see, this is our we call it VCTS framework, which signals why one should invest in market as of now. We currently see valuations are very reasonable. So P is around 22 is the P. The business cycle is all-time low. The capacity utilizations are low, credit growth is low, and we see this will grow from here on. The business will always grow from here onwards. There are some growth recoveries which will be there in market globally as well as in domestic market. There will be recovery will be there. So there's a trigger in there. Sentiments, there are fear in the market. People are not participating. So it's a good time to start investing. If you go to the next slide, these are the product bouquet which we have on around 14 products which we have. In broad-based market, we have ICICI Nifty ETF, ICICI Sensex ETF, Nifty Next 50, Nifty 100. These are broad-based large cap ETFs which we have. In mid-cap category, we have two products, which is mid-cap 150, which is very broad-based. That is Nifty 101 to Nifty 250. These are products. Then Nifty Mid-Cap Select. This is very concentrated mid-cap ETF which we have. These are 30 stocks which are there in this ETF. Then a very broad base where you buy a market is BSE 500, S&P BSE 500 ETF. This is basically you are buying the market where 80% is large cap, 15% is your mid cap, and 5% is your small cap. So major weight is your large cap. So it's a kind of multi-cap product which we have. On theme base or sector base, we have private bank. If someone is bullish on a theme base or thematic this thing, a sector specific, they can invest in these schemes. So we have ICICI Prudential Bank ETF and also ICICI Prudential Private Bank ETF. They can look at this product and Bharat 22 ETF. Then we have factor based or smart beta products which you call, which is NV20. These are value 20 stocks from Nifty 50. So these are smart beta is basically an active investment with passive investment with active strategy, some kind of, it's a methodology. And then there is Nifty Low Vol 30 ETF, which is there. This is also factor based ETF. On debt side, we have liquid ETF, which is generally used by to park your idle funds which are lying in your trading account. And then commodity ETF is gold ETF, which you all must be investing as of now. On the next slide, if you go. So Nifty, so there are certain ETFs which you have recommended for the retail investors, and we believe this could perform well in such kind of markets, in volatile markets. So what we have recommended for you is Nifty ETF. What is Nifty ETF? This basically replicates Nifty. These are all blue chip companies which are available at a very low cost. These are based on market cap. If you see, this is highly diversified. We are investment across various sectors, and these are no-brainer product. This product is across every category. So institution invest in this category, PFs invest in this category, HNI invest in it. And for retail, this is one of the best category. The retail investor who is new to market, who doesn't understand market, who doesn't do any research and all, they can invest in, they can start with Nifty ETF. That is our recommendation. Then next product category is, which we have is Nifty Next 50. Next 50, these are possible contenders for inclusion in Nifty 50 index. So among the large cap, Nifty 50 is based on large cap, Nifty is based on highest large cap this thing. And after Nifty is the Nifty Next 50. This is also well diversified portfolio which has. After this we have is Nifty Low Vol ETF. This is a smart beta product which we can recommend to our investors. ETF Nifty 100 Low Vol 30 index. The index measures the performance of low volatile stocks. So what it does is, from the Nifty 100 universe, it selects 30 low volatile stocks. So the idea is, in the bull market, the stocks which outperforms the market. In bear market, these stocks tends to fall more than the market. So these are in volatile market. Nifty Low Vol 30 is the best product to invest in. That is what we recommend. Investor looking to invest in equity and aiming for limit the impact of market volatility should invest in these products. This is also very diversified as such across various sectors. If you go to next slide, is your BSE, S&P BSE 500 ETF, which we had given. This is you are buying 500 stocks. So you are actually buying the market. You are buying Indian economy. That's the whole idea. In this, 80% is your large cap, is around Nifty 100 is your 80%. And balance, as I said, balance 15% is in your small mid cap, and then 5% is in your small cap. That's the whole idea. If you go to the next slide is the performance. If you see the performance, Nifty performance is minus 18, whereas the smart beta low vol ETF, which we have shown, is the return is around minus 8.3. So your alpha, what the return which he has given is better than, at least 10% better than Nifty. In 3 years also, Nifty has given a return of 1%, whereas low volatility has given a return of 4.85%. In 5 years, you have Nifty has given a return of 4%, whereas low vol has given 7.4. In 10 years also, it has outperformed Nifty by around 4%. So consistently, if you see, around 3 to 4%, the Nifty low vol, the smart beta ETF has outperformed Nifty. So someone, if you are looking to invest in market, we will always recommend in large cap category, one should look at Nifty low vol 30 at a very low cost product. You can outperform Nifty. This has consistently outperformed. So one can look at this product, and after this one can look at Nifty Next 50 and 500. There is one more product which we have, which investors, if they don't have Demat account, they can look into this category. This is called ICICI Prudential Passive Strategy Fund of Fund. It's a fund of fund. If you go to next slide, it's a fund of fund, which with some model, it's a model based allocation between large cap and mid cap, based on the price value. So it can invest in large cap from 50% to 100% in Nifty and Nifty low vol ETF, that is smart beta ETF, and from 0 to 50% it can invest in mid cap category. So we have two products in mid cap category, which is mid cap 50 and mid cap 150. It can also invest in any other ETF of ICICI Prudential based on the fund manager's call. It basically covers the valuation gap between large cap and mid cap. So that could be a better product for the investors who do not have Demat account and wants to do an SIP. They can invest through this route. And the current allocation which we have given is, currently the scheme has invested in BSE 500 36%, mid cap 20%, Bharat 22 we have invested 14%, private bank around 13%, Nifty is at 13%, and short term is around 2%. So around 75% of your portfolio is in large cap, which is currently there. Post this presentation, I'll just update you now most of the questions which come on how to invest and liquidity. All these ICICI Prudential ETFs are listed and traded on NSE as well as on BSE. To buy sell these ETFs, investors have to log into their trading account and place an order. We have appointed market makers, liquidity providers who provide two-way quotes on exchange to manage the liquidity. If someone wants to verify the real-time NAV, they can visit our website iciciprudentialamc.com and can verify real-time NAV on website. They can compare the real-time NAV with the traded price on exchange and then execute the trade. That will make you, you will know exactly where the price is, whether it is at premium or discount. Generally, the prices are traded close to real-time NAV. Just a suggestion, whenever the investors invest in ETF, ensure you invest in the smaller quantities rather than putting a bulk of the quantities. If you put bulk of the quantities, there will be a price impact will always be there in market. In smaller quantities, you will always get a better price and the impact cost will be lower. In case of liquidity concern, investor can get in touch with us. We will provide liquidity. We will get in touch with our market makers and provide liquidity for the investors. Now, next question, which is normally the investors ask for, is how to invest. ETFs you can invest as good as 1 unit or less than 100 rupees also you can invest. For example, ICICI Nifty ETF, which I told is less than 100 rupees, and next 50 is around 25 rupees. Most recommended way of investing is through SIP route. So there are platforms in which you can invest ETFs through a SIP route, which are available in market. And the second way to invest is in a lump sum investment, which you can do on every 2% fall in Nifty, which generally I follow. Whenever the market falls 2%, we invest in Nifty. And similarly, if you want to book the profit, you can also sell it when the Nifty rises by 2%. That is how you can trade in Nifty also. So these are recommended ways of investing in ETFs for retail investors. Nitin, can we take Q&A?
Sure. So I'll stop sharing the screen now here. Yeah, that's better. So Nitin, thanks a lot for this. I think some of the questions that we have received, maybe we can start with that. And meanwhile, we are open to taking questions on our Facebook link, so we can take from there as well. So importantly, Nitin, I mean, thanks for sharing this presentation. One of the questions that I have is, why are expense ratios so different, between different ETFs? Now, Nifty Next 50 and some top 30 low walls, I would have expected the expense ratios to be similar lines, but what I see here is that expense ratios are very, very different. One is 5 basis point and the other is probably 42 basis points around.
See, these are more of a scalability. Depends upon the scale of the product. The AUM of Nifty ETF is around 1,500 crores. So in that case, we can afford to make it lower. And also low wall ETF currently, which is around 100 crores. The concept is not people awareness is about this concept. With the scale, this expense ratio has to come down, which will happen.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So it's just a question of scale that you are referring to, basically.
Correct.
Right. Fair enough. Now, in terms of, next question which is coming, how do you look at various ETFs, so tell us something more about Bharat 22, how should one look at, that ETF particularly, and, if you are to really pick up ETFs, and how do you go about choosing between different ETFs?
See, there are, if I have to choose, first I'll recommend you shortlist the AMC. There are Me Too products also in market. First of all, whether the AMC is committed to the business, that is the important point. So whether you have full-fledged service team, RM, which are available for this particular business, that is more important. Who could service the investors, who could provide liquidity for you, that is the important part. So first of all, you shortlist your AMC. Second thing is your expense ratio. The lower the expense ratio, it is better for investors. That is the second part. And third but important part is liquidity on exchange.
Mm-hmm.
When I say liquidity on exchange is basically it's not the volume, how much the volume has happened on exchange, but the two-way code which is available on exchange. Whether can you buy and at a very low spread, can you exit from the scheme? That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the three important things: identify AMC, expense ratio, and exchange liquidity.
And Bharat 22?
Bharat 22 it's a value product. If someone believes that is there a value investing in it, like at our firm, we believe there's a value in this product. If you see, these are all dividend yield products. You get a very good dividend. It's just that this particular stocks, it doesn't perform along with the market. But these are value stocks. If you believe in the stocks, one can invest. These are all large cap companies. If you see, these are good balance sheets. Okay, these are sovereign, as good as sovereign, this thing you can say, and you can invest in these products.
Sure.
We as a firm also we have invested a lot of money in Bharat 22 on these stocks, underlying stocks.
Yeah, great. Now, one of the questions which has come up is really, in India where the active managers are outperforming, mostly, then why should one even consider ETFs? So what do you have to say about that? Why should we consider ETFs, when the active managers are outperforming the benchmark?
See, not all fund managers are outperforming the benchmark. First of all, not everyone is outperforming. There are few who are outperforming, but most of them have not performed as such to the benchmark in last few years. Second thing, there are products which were not previous level. Previously, it was only benchmark. Now there are products like this smart beta ETF, low vol ETF, which is available in market, which gives you return which is better than Nifty.
Yeah.
So at a very low cost of 40 basis point, you can get 3 to 4% alpha. We have better return, I could say. So I think these products, as more and more awareness of this product happens, people should start looking at such smart beta products, and that could give you a better return than your active fund manager.
Great. And what is the right time to start investing in ETFs? Idea is one question is there about the right timing as well as the right allocation. Should one invest like 100% of the allocation into ETFs, or somebody should just try to time it, depending on valuations, depending on market conditions, or something around that?
As I previously showed, I have already, which we have shared with you. I personally buy on 2% fall in Nifty.
Hmm.
So there is a SIP method which you have, or on every fall you can buy these ETFs. Not 100% you should invest on at one go. You stagger your investments. If you are currently invested in the active mutual fund, then I would suggest you continue with it, but with a small portion, at least 25-35, invest in passive side also, and see the benefits of investing in passive funds.
Hmm. Sure. And timing wise, I mean, would
Timing
you
wise, there is nothing
suggest
called perfect timing.
timing, in terms of entering into ETFs?
So there is nothing called a perfect timing.
Mhm.
Every time is a good time. Just stagger your investments and buy it every fall.
Yeah,
So currently also you can keep on investing. Today market was down, so you can invest on such fall. You can start investing.
sure. Now the next question is really something very specific, where somebody is asking that I'm a 42-year-old man. Should I stop all my SIPs in mutual funds and invest all that money into exchange traded funds?
Uh, if you have invested in mutual fund, if the returns are better, you stick to those funds. Not an issue. If you have not performed, it has not outperformed the benchmark, then what you could do is first evaluate whether there's an exit load, because there are costs also when you exit from a fund, that
Mhm.
you have to check the investment allocation with your financial advisor, like Nitin. You should advise them, and then invest in ETFs. And what ETF suits you, like we have multiple investments. We have in large cap, we have in mid cap, we have in thematic base also, so commodity base also. So you can invest in those ETFs which are available in market at a very low cost. You can invest,
Mhm.
but before, of course, before investing, just check the cost.
Mhm. And really, another question is about international ETFs, Nitin. So why is international it is ETFs missing from your bouquet of offerings?
See, if someone wants to is looking at international ETFs or international investment, I would say index fund could be a better option. In ETFs, generally what happens is, in India, the liquidity is a concern. In India, you have T+2 cycle. The exchange cycle is T+2 settlement, and US settlement cycle is T+2. So there is a T+4 settlement cycle which actually happens. So generally, the spread in such products is very high. At times, investor can lose 5% to 6%, because the basket size, the market maker who buys and sells on your behalf, there's a basket size which they have to. So
Mhm.
to make it more simple, there is someone, ICICI, Pru, AMC is like, we are a manufacturer, and we have these market makers who are distributors who buy and sell in bulk. They buy from mutual fund in bulk, they sell from with mutual fund in bulk. So they buy from retail investors, they accumulate those units, and in bulk they go and redeem it. So there's a cost for it, cost for redemption and creation. So generally, I would advise investors, if you are looking at investing in international fund, one should look at index fund or other fund of fund options which are available in market,
Mhm.
and then they should invest rather than ETFs.
Sure. Thanks, Nitin. The next question is really, what is better, ETF, fund of fund, or index funds? So help us understand, Nitin, what is the fine difference, between some of these things? Because from an outsider perspective, it might be quite confusing, because one of the fund of funds that you were referring to, it looked like an actively managed fund of fund, really, rather than, a passively managed ETF or anything around that. Is that the right assumption?
Correct. It is, if you could say passive, it is a model based investment basically. It's a model based investment. But I would say it's a better, if you want to invest in a low cost product, and if you want to take an active investment kind of thing also a call, then these are very good products. So what has happened in India also in last, when we launched Bharat 22 Fund of Fund, we have got the regulation changed, whereby a scheme which invests in ETFs, 95% which invest in equity ETFs, will get equity taxation.
Hmm.
So this is a very good category, and we want to launch more products on such concepts where you can invest in multiple ETFs through one scheme. So you can have a hybrid kind of hybrid fund of fund which invest in commodity, debt, as well as equity, or you can have an allocation whereby invest in large cap, mid cap through a fund of fund scheme. So at a
Mhm.
very low cost, you get a more options. So as low as 1,000 rupees, you can invest in 3 ETFs
Hmm.
without incurring for brokerage, without getting into that liquidity thing. It could be a good idea.
Got it. So Nitin, the next question is really about gold. So somebody's asking that should I invest in e-gold, gold ETF, or sovereign gold bonds, SGBs?
The best option currently is SGB. I would suggest SGB. There is no cost. It's capital gain is exempted. You also get interest also on the initial investment. Plus the day one you get some 50 rupee discount is also there, which is as good as around uh, a good amount which is available now to invest as such. Up to 4 kg you can invest.
Mm-hmm.
So SGB is the best option, I would say. Second option is ETF, because ETF are more transparent. It is governed by SEBI. Okay, it is well regulated. There are physical gold which is bought by us in vaults, and these are verified, insured. Digital gold, I have not worked on it as such. I have not invested in it. I have very limited understanding. But I don't know if it is not regulated, I will never participate in it. Ultimately, it's a gold, it's a value which you are investing, and it's a trust basically. So that would be a last option.
Yeah. Isn't the lock-in period of SGB a dampener, Nitin? And especially in
See,
times where we've seen, the value of liquidity, right? And suddenly, let's say if I need some cash, I can sell my gold ETF and get the cash instantaneously. Versus if I'm in SGB, fine, I got tempted by the discount and maybe better yields and everything, but I mean the liquidity kills it, right? So how do you sort of address that?
yes. So liquidity, there is a limited amount of liquidity which is available on exchange. Limited amount of liquidity is there.
For
If,
ETF or SGB?
for SGB,
Okay.
SGB are traded on exchange, but very
Mhm.
limited amount of liquidity is available. So if liquidity is the concern, if you have long term money and liquidity is not an issue, then one should look at SGB.
Mhm.
Liquidity is a concern. If you want to sell those SGBs, then it is very difficult. You have to sell it at a discount. In that case, ETF would be a better option. But investors can also raise loan against those SGB. They get OD limit or something is available as a collateral. It can be used.
Mhm.
Similarly, ETFs can also be used. And if liquidity is not an issue, then SGB is the better option.
Sure. Thanks, Nitin. Nitin, next question is really on debt ETF. And the question is, is it the right time to make investments into debt? Now, help us understand a little bit about debt ETFs really, and especially about the fiasco which happened. Are debt ETFs like really better, or which debt ETF, and how do we sort of, go about picking up something in debt, really, if we want to get into ETFs?
So at a firm level, we see debt. It's a good time to enter, particularly in debt side, debt mutual fund or debt ETF. You could say it's a good time to get into debt side also. Uh, since the interest rates are coming down, the yield will come down and the bond pricing will go up. So we see the valuation will be good. And
Mhm.
so one could look at investing in all season bonds or these government bonds which are available, or corporate bonds. One can look at investing in it. Uh, what is more important in ETF, bond ETF, is the liquidity. If the liquidity is available, then it's a good product. One can look at it. Otherwise, the financial advisor can always advise. You can look at mutual fund side also, where our fund managers are there on that side who can manage the investment. So
Mhm.
something like gilt investment is also a good product. The only issue in gilt is the entry and exit point retail investor will never understand without the help of a financial advisor.
Mhm.
So that is also a good point to invest. And these are safe investments.
Got it. Uh, is investing in international markets right now a good idea?
See, international markets are at all-time highs of now. A
Mhm.
lot of people are investing through this route, and in future, I think there is a new regulation which will come post September, whereby there will be a tax on investing directly. So mutual fund could be a good route to invest in offshore investment. Whereas the level I said, it's all-time high, so one should always consult your financial advisor and then invest,
Sure.
and invest in small amounts only.
Yeah. Now there's another question. What is better between mutual funds or index funds? You've already addressed that, but do you want to take it again quickly?
See, ETFs are always better. Mutual fund or index fund, you said.
Yeah, mutual funds or index funds? Yeah, that's the precise
See,
question.
mutual fund is basically, you are trying to say active fund or index fund is better. Active fund, if you are invested in active fund and if you are happy with the returns, the performance of the scheme, then you stay invested. We would just suggest 25 to 35% you can start investing in ETFs or index funds also and see the benefit of passive investments.
Mhm. Sure. So next question, Nathan, really is when do we see more options, both in terms of exotic or thematic ETFs in the Indian market? Now, I'll just like to extend that question a little bit, in terms of what exactly is the pushback that you get from clients, when you sell some of these thematic or exotic ETFs, really, how do you sort of go about convincing the distributor or the end client, really, as you mentioned earlier, like these are the institutions mostly, or, the counters are HNI counters or something. So how do you sort of explain them these products, and why should one prefer these products over others?
See, what we have seen is that, and globally also that is the trend, whereby most of the institutional investors or HNI investors, they want a fixed methodology which has to be dependent rather than depending on one fund manager.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen that people investing in such concepts out here also in India. When we speak to most of the institutions or HNI, super HNI, ultra HNI clients, when we talk to them, we have seen that people prefer to invest in such methodologies where there is no interference and the methodology is defined. And if you see, and that's the reason, if you see Nifty as such, alone Nifty, there is around investment of around 1 lakh crore which is invested in Nifty. Bank ETF, it's a thematic thing, and a lot of institution invest in banking ETFs. Now the industry size is around 10,000 crores.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. The institutions and HNI clients, they get convinced by this concept. They understand it's a low cost product. Rather than buying one particular stock, take an exposure on particular basket that will diversify their risk within that sector itself. And it is easy to convince them, I think. And they understand the benefit of this low cost product.
Mm-hmm.
The retail investment, what I've seen, the retail side, the issue is most of the distributors, it's all brokerage driven, cost driven. So what happens is mutual fund, there is a 2% plus the cost which is there chargeable. And most of this broking firm, then they don't promote these ETFs, which
Yeah.
are low cost products.
Yeah.
So a big role is played by you, RIs, who are
Mm.
advisors, and who advise this low cost product. The benefit should ultimately go to the investors, and who advise their investors for investing in low cost product.
So that's the next question, Nitin, really is in terms of why are distributors not talking about ETFs? So, and this is number one question that we get asked as well, that if these are such a good products, why did we need a Tavaga to educate us about ETFs? Why did our distributor not tell us about that, or why did our advisor, or let's say the broker, who's there in the value chain as well, advise us about these products?
See, these are very low cost products. Generally, for marketing promotions, we don't do any marketing promotion for such kind of products. But most of the distributors, they have their well counters where they promote ETFs for HNI clients. For retail, generally they don't do it. But because they are very low cost product, marketing promotion is not available. I see gradually with the awareness in the retail investor itself and demand base, people will start investing and promoting these products also.
Mhm.
So currently, I'll tell you, just 3 years back, we had an investor base of around 3 lakh investors.
Mhm.
Today, we have more than 12 lakh investors we have
Very nice. So it's
from
a
retail
4x
side.
jump in 3 years' time, right? That's what you're referring
Yeah,
to.
yes.
That's interesting. So, thank you. So, next question really, Nitin, is, why are there so few index funds in India right now? And how will we see, these options, more and more options available going forward? Because clearly, when you look in the Western world, you have hundreds of ETFs, index funds. In the US, probably there are more ETFs than the stocks itself. So what's the rationale for what's the rationale for having hundreds of ETFs or index funds, let's say, and why do we not see that mega trend happening in India? I think last that I checked, we only have 81 sort of ETFs in India right now. So what's stopping from us growing significantly from where we are?
Uh, See, the awareness of ETF is very limited, which I told you. Also, the distributors are not promoting this product. So what happens is when you launch a ETF or an index fund, there's a cost attached to it. Say, for example, when I launch a index fund, there's a 2020 scheme, 2022 requirement, 2025 requirement, which is there. So minimum 20 investors has to be there in any scheme, plus not 20, more than 25% has to be invested by any investor. So
Mm-hmm.
that is a basic requirement. Now, getting investors in this low cost product on day one of the NFO is a difficult task. Getting investors in an active fund is an easy task, because there you can incur some marketing promotion expense to promote those products. So if you want to promote ETFs, what has to be done is, then we have to revise the expenses. We have to take it to 1%, then incentivize distributors, and then promote this to the investors. That could be another game changer, could be there.
Yeah.
That could be another strategy, but which we have not adopted as of now. We believe ETF should be in the range of around 20-25 basis points should be a good this thing, cost product.
Sure, Nitin, thanks. So, Nitin, we'll take a few questions from Facebook. Now, Akash Javeri, who's based out of Australia, is asking, do we have tax-saving ETFs that can be used under ATC income deductions?
Currently, it is not there. Last year and prior to that also, the finance ministry in their budget, they announced that ETFs will be part of ATC. So if you invest in ETFs, the ATC deduction will be available. That is always under process. Before the lockdown, that notification was expected, but maybe anytime soon that notification will come, and then you can have ATC benefit for investing in ETFs. Once that is available, once that ELSS benefit is available, there will be a lot of people. I could see that people will move from normal mutual fund scheme to the ETF side, and a lot of these broking firms also will start promoting ETFs.
Sure. Thanks, Nitin. Next question is from Anirban Mukherjee. And the question is, what happens to the dividends of the underlying companies of the ETFs? So this is another very interesting question, Nitin, and maybe you can elaborate a little bit here, because the common misconception or the common difference, and the people who sort of have sometimes, not so much high sort of, understanding of ETFs, the misnomer is that, ETFs में dividends नहीं आते हैं. So that's the very common sort of a misnomer, which probably prohibits a lot of people from considering ETFs as an instrument as well. So is that a right sort of perception, or the reality is something else?
No, see, the reality is that underlying stocks give dividend, and this dividend is reinvested in ETFs. So when you compare Nifty with all these Nifty ETFs which are available in market, you will always see that the NAV of this ETF is higher than Nifty. Now one may think that these are traded at a premium. This is not a premium. This is basically the accumulated dividend which is there in those ETFs. That's the reason the difference between the index and the ETF is that accumulated dividend which is there. That's the whole difference. Now, previously we used to declare the dividend. In ICICI, we have declared the dividend few years back. But subsequently, when there was dividend distribution tax which was applicable, we thought doesn't make any sense, because your capital gain as such was taxable at a lower rate as compared to DTT. So after 1 year it is tax free as such, and currently also after 1 year it is 15%. So it doesn't make sense to declare a dividend.
Sure. So I'll take maybe a couple of last questions, Nitin, in the interest of time. Now these questions are more generic in nature, which we have received, ahead of the sort of session, and the question really is, what will the Indian economy perform better than the rest of the world? So I don't know whether you have an opinion on that. I mean, I'm always bullish on India, but that doesn't mean that I'm bearish on the rest of the world.
See, we speak to most of these brokers, and the broker estimates are that around next year the GDP could be around in the range of 4-5% or something. In around 22-23, the GDP could be in the range of 6 to 8.5%. If you compare the country of of our size or our economy, if you compare with those other economies, if you see, we are more of an internal consumption economy. We are not export economy. We are neither tourism based economy. We have our internal consumption. So we think that based on these estimations, we believe that India will outperform.
Yeah. Thanks. I hope that's the case, Nitin, really. The last question, which I'll take today, Nitin, is in terms of sectorial picks, let's say if you were to pick up any sectors, how would you go about picking that?
See, when you see sector is basically concentration. When you look at concentration, what exactly you are looking at, you are ready to take a risk. Now, ready to take a risk, I would rather see high beta product kind of private bank ETF I would look at. And currently sector ETFs, very limited sector ETFs or index funds which are available in market. But private bank ETF, I would see a good product. A lot of institution invest in this product. So if you buy something like Nifty low vol plus Nifty and some kind of exposure to this private bank ETF, I think your return of the portfolio would be better.
Mhm. Got it, Nitin. Thanks a lot for taking time out this evening. And on behalf of Team Tawaga, I'd really like to thank you for sort of educating us on ETFs, passive funds, and markets overall. Thank you.
Thanks, Nitin. Thanks, Nitin. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks a lot.